I'm going to show you how to set up AN fittings on braided fuel hose. These are -8 fittings. Some of the things you'll need are a screwdriver. You're going to need wrenches for the size fittings you're using. We're using a box cutter, some masking tape, and some cutters to cut the line easily, but you can also use an angle grinder or some other kind of cutter. So the first thing you need to do is determine the length of the hose you're going to need, and then you're going to want to put masking tape where you're going to be cutting it. And all the masking tape is going to do is make sure that when you cut it, your braided, the nylon doesn't go everywhere. When you're cutting your line, make sure you make a nice straight cut. Once you cut it, you'll want to take a screwdriver or a marker or something, and you'll actually want to round this back out since we kind of pinched it a little bit. This will just help you slide everything on and make your connection a little easier. Now you can take apart your fitting that you're going to be using. There's going to be 3 pieces. The first piece is the part that actually goes on the outside of your hose and slides over it. The next piece is your ferrule, and this is what goes inside and it's what makes your seal. And then you have your actual fitting piece that attaches to your accessories, and that goes inside the plastic portion of your line. I used a lot of tape. When you tape this up to cut it, you're going to want to take off any excess tape. You're just going to want to keep enough so that your nylon isn't fraying. That way you're not trying to push this over a bunch of extra tape. So the next step is to slide this piece over the line, and this is actually one of the hardest parts because it's extremely tight as it's designed that way. But if you twist it while you're pushing it on, it makes it a lot easier. You can kind of pretend that it's threaded. So once you get it pretty far and you can see it poking through, you can push it down on a table or in a vise, and you'll be able to push it through even further, and it makes it just a little easier. And then you're going to work it past where you're going to be, and you can pull your tape off. We'll pull this back up towards the end, and then we'll trim off some of this excess nylon around our hose. Alright, now that we have that on and trimmed up, we'll go over to the vise and install the rest of this. So we're using vise jaws, which makes this whole process way easier because it holds onto your hose and your fitting for you. Alright, so the next step is going to be putting your ferrule over the plastic portion of your line, and make sure that your taper goes towards your hose. Then we're going to be sliding the fitting inside your line, and this part is kind of stiff as well, so you can use the same method as before and twist it as if you're threading it into your hose. So now the next step is going to be starting your threads on your fitting. So you can kind of pull your line through that outer piece, and then you can start this thread with your fingers so that you're not cross-threading anything. So once you have it started, you can use a wrench and tighten this all the way on. You're going to want to leave a 1 millimeter gap. If everything's done properly, your fitting should be nice and tight. Your pieces should be lined up so it looks good, and you'll be able to attach your hose to whatever fitting you need.